Don't sell your house in the winter. You've probably heard that advice a million times, right? Minnesota winters are brutal. No one's out looking in the negative temperatures, and overall, just wait for spring. Here's the truth though, winter selling in Minnesota actually comes with some advantages, and if you know them, it might be better for you to list in December or January as opposed to the springtime market, depending on your situation, obviously. So let's take a look at when exactly it might make sense for you to list in the wintertime. Quick note before we get started, if you're thinking about selling in central Minnesota, the Brainerd Lakes area, Little Falls, or St. Cloud MSA, and you want to talk about strategy regarding timing your listing, reach out. I'd love to help you figure out what works for your specific situation. Links below in the description. All right, let's get started. First, let's be honest about where this advice comes from. There are actual disadvantages, as I'm sure you can imagine, there are actual disadvantages to selling in the winter market here in central Minnesota. The weather sucks, right? There is ice everywhere, snow, the temperatures are just atrocious. You know, this 2025 winter that we had was an absolutely brutal one. I'm sure you guys can remember that one. That one sucked. And the sun goes down early, so you can't get those like late listings when everyone's off of work because, everyone's tired and the sun's down and it's like, okay, I don't really want to go take a look at a house when it's already looking like nighttime. And yeah, and also buyer activity drops because of that. According to iBuyer, Realtor.com, winter does, in fact, see the lowest buyer activity of the year. You can see that the real peaks are kind of these summer months, obviously. And right around here, you can see fewer people are actively searching for homes. This is because people are busy with the holidays. Obviously, the weather outside makes a pretty big difference. But overall, it's just people are busy. It's not the best time for buyers, at least the general population of buyers, to go out looking. But here's what a lot of sellers miss is when other sellers sit out the winter, opportunity opens up. Neat little quote right there. And it is true. The competition does lower. And we're going to get to that here in a second. So let's go through what exactly happens to inventory during the wintertime here in central Minnesota. According to data from Realtor.com, housing inventory obviously, predictably, drops during the wintertime. And it's a consistent pattern. It's not going to be a one-time thing that's going to happen pretty much every single year here in central Minnesota, as long as there are winters here, as bad as they are at least. It will drop like this. And they see about a 40% decrease of homes on the market between spring and wintertime. So let's say there are 200 homes in your market in the springtime. In winter, you could realistically expect about 60 less homes. Now, that means that your home, illustrated by this red square, would be going against 60 fewer homes on the market in this sort of market right here, right? So in the springtime, your market would have 200 homes. You're one of those. You're just a drop in the bucket. Whereas in the wintertime, there's 120 homes. Sorry. Whereas in the wintertime, there's 120 homes. So you are a little bit bigger of a drop in the bucket. Actually, not even a little bit. You're quite significantly larger drop in the bucket. I mean, look at how many homes are taken off right there, right? Now, according to a Coldwell Banker seasonal market analysis, spring inventory, there are 30% more homes on the market in spring than in winter. Yeah, that's what we just saw, right? There's absolutely no surprise there. And during the winter time, there is 12% more online views per listing than versus the spring time. That's because, as we just looked at, there's quite a few less listings during the winter time, less options for buyers. That means your home has a better chance of getting more eyes on it if you were to list in the wintertime as opposed to the springtime. And one thing that we know is that in 2026, majority of people their home that they purchase, they saw for the first time, usually online, through Zillow, Realtor.com, Redfin, whatever it is. They saw their home, their current home that they purchased for the first time online. That's majority of buyers here. So the more eyes that you can get on your home online, the better. And obviously, that attention matters because, and you might be thinking, yes, there's less homes, but that also means less buyers. Well, yes, but what type of buyer is the one that's looking in the wintertime? These are people who are motivated, right? Um, these are people who you don't go looking for a home in the wintertime in central Minnesota without being serious about this. These are serious people, whether it's because they're on a timeline due to, relocation for work, whatever it may be. These people are on a timeline. So the fact that you're seeing 12% more views per listing in the wintertime means that these are not only just 12% more views, but these are 12% more views, and majority of these would be more serious buyers. And that's a perfect segue into this next section, the motivated buyer. Winter buyers are just more motivated than spring buyers. It's true. It's a fact. Like I just said, no one buys in the wintertime here in central Minnesota without being motivated. According to the US News, buyers trudging through wintry weather are usually serious and able to make quick decisions. Like I said, whether that's because of relocation, maybe they're having a baby and they need, that increase in space, whatever it is, these people are ready to make a decision. That's why they're looking in the wintertime when no one else is looking. These people are serious. So what does this mean for you as a seller? It means that you are going to get fewer showings because there are fewer buyers, but they're going to be higher quality showings. Like I said, there's going to be people out there looking for homes, and they're going to be more serious about them. You're not going to get those people who are just looking, they just, or they're exploring their options. No, these are people who are on a deadline and they are looking for a home. They are looking for the right home. Just based on kind of like my experience, because I see this a lot as well. A spring listing, this is if you've actually priced your property appropriately. Okay, so you can't just price a $300,000 house at $1 million and expect these same results. So, given you've priced your property appropriately, spring listing, the average home here in central Minnesota, you'd see about 20 showings, something like that, first month. Whereas during the wintertime, you would see 8. And these are going to be like I said, like uh, serious buyers looking. And you might receive about 2 offers each. But here's the thing. Look at that time to offer. About 3 weeks as opposed to 10 days. I mean, that's you're not going to see this on every single listing. These are going to be kind of like your average price points, priced appropriately, good marketing behind it. If you have all those things lined up, you could honestly, seriously expect results similar to this, as opposed to 20 showings. You're gonna have to get out in a moment's notice, possibly if you allow that with your agent, and you have to go out for an hour at a time throughout the weeks, and you might not even get an offer. But these are during the wintertime, these are actual buyers seriously looking, and you could reasonably expect within 2 weeks at least an offer, and a serious offer at that. Now, I'm not going to sit here and lie straight to your face and say that selling in winter is always better than spring, because there are obviously going to be trade-offs. Okay, there's always going to be a catch. If there's one thing that you learn in this world, there's nothing, or sorry, that you always learn that, if something's too good to be true, it most likely is. So let's get into the real estate version of that. What you give up is obviously that peak buyer activity, ideal showing conditions, that good weather, right? Your curb appeal goes to 0 during the winter time. Nothing. Your flowers that you planted, say goodbye to those, right? Those wonderful trees with their beautiful green leaves, yeah, say goodbye to that as well. You're not going to be getting any of that. It's all going to be covered in snow. It's all going to be muddy and disgusting. Um, and because of that, you might possibly get a smaller sale price, right? But what you get is dramatically less competition. You're going to get those higher quality showings. You're going to get motivated and decision ready buyers and potentially a faster sale. So the real question is not what time is the best time to sell, but it's rather what time is the best time to sell for you. What actually matters to you? Is it a higher sales price? Because maybe you have the time to sit on the market and try to get that higher sales price. Or are you kind of on a deadline and you need to sell a house? Because if you need to sell a house and you're approaching those like winter months, if you're in the fall time and you're like, oh shoot, I have to go for whatever reason it may be. Honestly, you are gonna get probably the most bang for your buck in terms of time and offer price, I guess, or just general selling conditions in the winter time. You're going to be seeing probably faster sale, most likely a little bit lower of a price, but that's kind of the price that you pay, right? If you want a faster sale, you're going to have to be making a concession somewhere. So yeah, ultimately, if you can wait, maybe spring is better for you to maximize that sell price. But if you are on that deadline, consider some winter selling possibly. All right. So, how exactly would you make winter work if you were to decide to list during the winter time? So let's get into five things that turn the winter time disadvantages into a possible competitive edge. Number one, nail the basics. Okay, snow removal. First of all, like I said, can you tell that I like saying like I said? I feel like I've said that literally a million times here. Anyway, like I said, your curb appeal is non-existent during the wintertime, right? So what is like the best thing that you can do to kind of enhance the showing experience? Nail the basics. Snow removal, brighter bulbs for that, I guess natural light, but no, it's just to, brighter bulbs to enhance the light within your house. Um, and potted plants actually, real estate professionals have seen that potted plants actually do increase your curb appeal during the wintertime. So keep that one in mind. Kind of a non-negotiable curb appeal during the wintertime, right? You are pretty much desperately in need of something to bump yourself up on that list. Number two, sell the warmth, right? Highlight that energy efficiency and your heating performance because lower bills, they really do make a lot of, especially to serious buyers, they make like a world of a difference. I actually just worked with a client who literally we like we started looking in like the March area. Um and one thing that he literally always asked me for was the utility bills. Are these energy efficient windows? He would always ask me, are these energy efficient windows? Around here, I mean, specifically where we were looking in the Little Falls area, they were single pane windows on most of these homes. Not the most energy efficient. If you have energy efficient windows, highlight that. That makes a world of a difference to serious buyers because it really does turn into real savings. So think about that. Price realistically, number three, right? Price realistically. During the off-season market, you're gonna have off-season pricing. Okay, but if you do that, you're gonna get serious buyers to the table fast. Okay, price reasonably, and this doesn't just apply to the winter months. Just please price reasonably. Okay, you're not going to get that $100,000 over ask that you so desperately want. And honestly, like your listing agent desperately wants that too. That means a higher commission. It's just not gonna happen. Okay, so remember that. Price realistically during those winter months. So, number four, and this doesn't really just matter to photography, but photography does actually matter more. This kind of ties into number one, a higher quality listing matters even more during the winter months because you want to maximize that sale price. And what's one of the best ways you can do that is by really upping the quality of your listing. You want the maximum amount of attention, which is true for, any time of the year, but you want that maximum amount of attention for all these serious buyers. And if you can pit them against each other, by showcasing a high quality listing to these people, and you can pit them against each other, you might even actually get your ask price or even above ask, right? There's no telling what can happen in real estate. So, higher quality photography does make a world of a difference. So definitely work with an agent who either has those connections or can take those good photos that really showcase your property in the best light possible for these potential buyers. And that's a perfect segue into number 5, and that's hire the right agent, because not all agents know how to market a winter listing. Some people, some agents, they might treat it the same as they would a summer listing, and you simply cannot do that. As we've just discussed throughout the entire video, you cannot treat a winter listing like a summer listing or a spring listing. They're not the same. There are wildly different dynamics and intricacies when it comes to marketing these. So, a lot of different things that go into them when it comes to staging, when it comes to that curb appeal, to just in general presenting the listing at all. So, yeah, work with the right agent. So, those are the 5 things that really matter that can give you a competitive edge selling in wintertime. So, is the winter time for you? Is this actually something that you should consider for listing your home, or is it better to just wait it out? Let's talk about it. So, list during the winter time if you need to sell quickly. The home shows well already, right? You don't have to do any crazy work to it or anything, or you're relocating on a deadline. Maybe you'd rather skip the spring rush. Maybe you don't want to leave for an hour at a time throughout the weeks. And one thing I'll say is, yes, you could. Obviously, you have the control over your house and what times buyers can access it. But realistically speaking, you want buyers to have the maximum access to it. Okay, you're gonna want to be ready at a moment's notice to leave in case a buyer wants to look at it. Because if they're not gonna be looking at your listing, they're gonna be looking at another one, right? So, if you'd rather skip all that buying stuff and you want the highest quality showings, wintertime, right? If your house is newer or well maintained, you can showcase that during the wintertime and be like, hey, everyone else is spending, $100 on their utility or heating per month. I'm only spending 60, right? That's beautiful to me. $40 per month savings. I mean, that's a absolute win in my book. But wait for spring if your home needs significant updates. If landscaping is the main draw, right? A beautiful yard it might make sense to wait for spring if you have a very beautiful yard, because some people are really attracted to that type of stuff. And if you can wait and want top dollar, springtime. Okay, let's not pretend that's not going to be your best option. If you prefer more buyer traffic for whatever reason, if you love having people in your house and looking at it, there you go, springtime. And if you aren't on a timeline, which kind of ties into the rest of that, maybe springtime is right for you. Ultimately, the key is being strategic to your specific situation, as opposed to just following, some sort of blanket rule that spring is better, right? Think about your unique circumstances when it comes to selling. And if you're thinking about selling in the Brainerd Lakes, Little Falls, or St. Cloud MSA, Central Minnesota market, and you want strategic advice on how to time your listing as opposed to just generic advice, wait till spring, reach out. I would absolutely love to have that conversation with you and talk about how we can time your listing for maximum efficiency and hopefully maximum price. All my contact information is down below in the description, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Thanks. Bye.